morning, friends. We're in the kitchen this morning doing a lot of canning and preserving today. Today on tap, I have two things that I'm trying to do, which is to use my food mill, which I'll go over here in just a second, and strain them, mill them so that I can get the juice out of them to be able to make tomato sauce. And then later today, I have some peaches. I know I'm a little bit late to the game with getting peaches, but they're still coming in from South Carolina. So I went to my local fruit stand and ended up picking up a half a bushel of peaches that I'm going to be working on later this morning. So first, for the tomatoes, this is the thing that I use in order to process the tomatoes. This year I grew exclusively Roma tomatoes. This is a food mill, and it's one of the main things it does is being able to process out the seeds and the core and the skins of the tomatoes. You can actually get different screens for this, for like berries and pumpkin, and it's a food mill. It's pretty awesome. I liked it better than the one that it's like round. It has a handle. You stick it over a pot and you go like this. So pretty much it makes fairly quick work of something that can be a tedious job. I have pre-cut some of my Roma tomatoes. I started off this morning with just shy of 2 pounds of tomatoes. I've been doing this every few days. I don't remember how many plants I ultimately had successfully grown. I think I started with like 20. I lost a few at the very beginning, and then when I transplanted a few out there, I lost some more. But the ones that have survived have produced, and they produce very well. I pull off tomatoes every day, and I put them in a 2 gallon bag in my refrigerator until it's about full, and then I do this and make it into juice. I'll put the juice in a Ziploc freezable bag, not completely full, about 3/4 of the way full. Label everything, because you'll forget. Even though you're like, oh wow, I know that looks exactly like tomato juice, and I'll remember it. There's a very high probability you'll forget. So label it, and then you can lay it flat, and it saves space in your freezer, because I'm not planning on cooking this down to make tomato sauce until the weather starts to get a little bit cooler. It takes hours to cook these down, although this is a paste tomato, Roma tomatoes, Amish paste tomatoes, San Marzano. Those are all kind of paste tomatoes that you can make sauces and tomato paste more easily because they're not as juicy as, a beefsteak tomato, let's say. So anyway, let's turn the camera so that hopefully you can see what I'm doing. This has a little suction cup that I've been using. Sometimes it comes off, but for the most part, it actually does hold, and it's kind of a start and stop process. I'm not going to get the hopper all the way full, but you fill it, and then the first thing you're going to have to do is use your stomper and kind of get it down the neck, down into here, because this is where the auger is. So you do have to take a minute and kind of push it down. It kind of mashes it. If I get a really big Roma tomato, I'll cut it in quarters. The smaller ones I usually just cut in half. The half size fits down here for the Romas anyway. They fit in here pretty easily. And then from there, I just kind of brace and hold, and then start the cranking process. And you'll have to continue to, every so many revolutions, you're going to have to stop, push some more down in there, because it draws it in. Whoops, see, there you go with the suction cup. It does have a clamp. That's better. But because I don't have a right configuration to put it on a ledge, I could, but I'd have to move a whole bunch of different things. And for the most part, this is fairly quick. Let's see if I can move this around so you guys can see. So this comes out here, and then this right here is the waste tube. So this is all your seeds, your skin, your cores, and everything. I've got a little bowl to catch it. I will actually take this, once I've done all of these tomatoes, I will take this and run it through the hopper one more time. And it comes out pretty dry, but it will actually come out drier a second time, and it helps to take whatever is left inside of the mill here, and it helps to kind of push it out. So let's get back to stomping and cranking. But this is one of the things, you know, I wanted to just touch on a little bit with a homestead or a food production type kitchen, is that a lot of modern kitchens, I think, are set up, to me, a little bit weird. It's almost like they set everything up in a modern kitchen for super ease, super convenience. You know, that the only thing that you're going to be doing is heating up a microwave, or, you know, walking over to the phone and calling for takeout, or ordering in a pizza. That's what, you know, a lot of modern day food processing is. Or cooking, rather. They don't do food processing. If you're somebody who wants to do homesteading, or wants to expand your cooking knowledge, or you're a gardener or whatever, yeah, it's a lot of work, it is. But I think that one of the things that makes things easier is having a kitchen. I mean, you don't need to have a redesigned kitchen. You don't have to spend money to do that. But there's a few things that make cooking and doing from scratch, slow cooking type food processing easier. Yes, there are pieces of equipment like this, you know, mixers, meat grinders, whatever, but some of it is literally just your countertops. Like I was saying before, a lot of the things that require food processing come with a clamp. And some of the modern countertops, they don't have a ledge so that you can actually clamp onto something for a food mill, or you know, anything. And having that ledge, a nice square ledge, is actually important. You may not think that, but it is important. You'll find frustrations when you're trying to do this stuff and you have no place to clamp it. And it will make, not that this is a hard job, but it will make a relatively, you know, moderate task become a difficult task, because you can't get traction, if you will, to be able to have the machine do the work that it needs to do. So we are almost done with what I put into the hopper. I'm starting to get, I think you can kind of see it through my arm, I'm starting to get a lot of the juice. Basically, that's the last bit, because as you're stompering, you're kind of, it creates a little bit like of a liquid pool, and that becomes some of the last bits that actually go through. Now I'm just trying to get the auger to push out the majority of the squeaks. Sorry about that, it's kind of annoying. The last bit of the pulp. Let's push that off to the side. So here's the last bit of the pulp, okay? It's not wet, really. It's fairly dry. But we're gonna run this through one more time, and you'll see how much drier it is. And this, for sure, you really have to stomp into the intake. And this goes very, very quickly. These are great machines for, you know, if you have babies, you have people who have to have a soft diet, you have anybody who needs their food, you know, macerated for them, or you know, food processing, you're making any form of canned type items. All right, so that was sort of like the tail end that I couldn't get in. Back to the thing about clamps and stuff like that, even with some of the fiber processing equipment and everything that I have, it's not, you know, I'm not a mill, so I don't have electric equipment, it's all by hand equipment, but it's the same thing. You have to have a cart, or you have to have something, you may have to build something in order to make a proper edge so that your processing equipment can actually clamp on and it can work. So that is the second pass through. Look at how much smaller in volume it is, and I believe it actually looks a little bit drier, actually noticeably drier. So anyway, keep on keeping on. This is the last bit of the tomatoes that I started off with this morning, and we'll be finishing this up and moving on to some peaches in a little bit. And I hope that you learned something and got some exposure to a Roma food mill and one way to be able to process some tomatoes. I specifically had Roma tomatoes, like I was saying, for paste, but you can use it for any other thing that you would want to actually just run it through a food mill. So remember, if you like this video, please share it with your friends. Like it, give us a thumbs up, and I hope it was helpful for you. Remember, you are the gold. Take care, y'all. Bye.